The person everyone thinks is fine is often the last one anyone actually checks on. His name was Mark, 34 years old, project manager at a mid-size marketing agency. If you had asked anyone on his team how Mark was doing, they would have said, "Great." Mark is always great, and they would have believed it. Because Mark had perfected something that takes years to learn: how to be exactly what a room needs. At work, Mark was the energy, the one who remembered birthdays, the one who brought donuts on Mondays, the one who could diffuse any tension with a single joke at exactly the right moment. His manager loved him. His colleagues loved him. New hires gravitated toward him because he made everyone feel like things were going to be okay. And most days at work, things were okay. Then 5 p.m. came. Mark would say goodbye in the same warm voice he used all day, make a joke in the elevator, wave at the front desk, and drive home. The drive home was 20 minutes. For the first 10 minutes, he was still Mark from work, running through the conversations, replaying the meetings. But somewhere around the halfway point, something shifted. The smile faded, not dramatically, not all at once, just like a light being slowly turned down. By the time he pulled into his parking spot, he was someone else entirely. He sat in his car most nights for 10 to 15 minutes before going inside. Not because he didn't want to go home. He lived alone. There was nothing wrong at home. It was that the performance was over and without an audience. He didn't know what to do with his face inside his apartment. Mark was quiet. He ate alone. He watched things he didn't really care about. He scrolled through his phone, looking at other people's lives, feeling something he couldn't name. He wasn't depressed, not clinically, not in the way he imagined depression looked. He was just tired, not physically tired, but tired in the way that sleep doesn't fix. The kind of tired that comes from giving every available part of yourself to everyone around you and keeping nothing for yourself. Mark had been doing this for 3 years. 3 years of being the one who held things together. 3 years of being the energy. 3 years of nobody asking how he actually was, because he always seemed so fine. One Tuesday in March, Mark was in a team meeting. Someone made a joke. Mark laughed. Later that afternoon, a new colleague named Sophie stopped by his desk. She said, "Hey, are you actually okay?" Not in a casual way. In a real way. The kind of way that makes you pause. Mark looked at her. He had his answer ready. He always had his answer ready. "Yeah, I'm good. Thanks." Sophie nodded, but she didn't leave. She said, "You don't have to be if you're not." And something in those 7 words broke open. Something that Mark had been keeping closed for a very long time. He didn't cry in the office. He held it together because that's what Mark did. But that night, in his apartment, he sat on his kitchen floor and cried for about 40 minutes. Not from sadness exactly, from relief. Someone had seen him, not the performance, him. If this story is hitting you, subscribe to Narrathex. New story every day. Mark started therapy 2 weeks after that conversation, something he had been putting off for 2 years. He told his therapist, "I don't know how to be tired in front of people. I only know how to be fine." His therapist said, "That's not strength. That's a habit. And habits can be changed." It took months, but slowly, Mark learned how to say, "I'm having a hard week," to the people around him. The first time he said it, at work, to his manager, he expected to feel exposed. Instead, his manager said, "Me too, actually. This quarter has been brutal." And they talked, really talked. For 15 minutes, Mark drove home differently. That evening, he still sat in his car for a few minutes. But this time, it wasn't to prepare for the silence. It was just to feel grateful. He wasn't fixed. He was still learning, still adjusting, but he was no longer performing full time. For an audience, that included himself. 2 years later, Mark is still at the same company, still the person who brings warmth, still the one who remembers birthdays. But if you ask him how he's doing, and you actually mean it, he'll actually tell you, and that is the difference. So let me ask you something. Is there someone in your life who is always fine, always smiling, always the energy, always the one who holds things together? When did you last ask them how they were and actually wait for a real answer? Because the people who never ask for help are often the ones who need it most. And sometimes all it takes is 7 words. You don't have to be if you're not. This is Narrathex, where the story is the code, the lesson is the key. Subscribe and never miss another story.